What's up, guys? Welcome to my week 2 wrap-up. I realized that my video last week was like 10 minutes long, or close to that, so I say this all the time, but I'm legitimately gonna try to make it shorter. So let's see how that works out this week. Scores were a little bit higher this past week for week 2, at least than they were week 1. Not a lot of data to compare, but I'm thinking the scores this year will just as offenses kind of get back into it, NFL offenses get back in the swing of things, our scores will probably start trending toward the mean. Maybe not to the degree that of the scores that we had last year, but the offensive output last year in the NFL was ridiculous. So I don't expect to see that again. But who knows? I want to go over the matchups that we had this past weekend. First matchup, we had Cody and Walter. This was really our stinker matchup of the week. I had high expectations coming into the weekend, at least for Walter's team. I picked them to win, and then they were utterly disappointing. Aaron Rodgers only 12 points. Nothing from Jamal Charles, Dez Bryant, or Jermichael Finley. It was just a very subpar performance. Walter gets the Snowman for his 57 points, and Cody only had to muster 85 to win convincingly. So Walt's going to need to get it back together if he wants to replicate some of the success he had last season. Our second matchup was me and Chad. I won this one 185, got my first win of the year. I'm happy about that. It wasn't a particularly spectacular performance. I finally got a good game from Phillip Rivers, so I've been waiting for that for like a year and a half now, so that's encouraging. I also got a very surprising 31 from Reggie Bush. I didn't see that coming, and I know Chad didn't either. I kind of want to apologize that because it's like the ultimate fantasy fluke, but hey, I'll take a W any way I can get it. Watching the fantasy cast, I got a little bit worried when Vincent Jackson had a big touchdown in the first quarter. I thought maybe Chad would start running away with it with Arian Foster and Jackson. But then Romo really didn't do anything, and I don't know. I kind of was fortunate that Chad didn't put up more points than he did, but I'll take the win. Our next matchup was our closest one of the week, Al versus Brad. Again, not really spectacularly high scoring here. Brad got a clutch game from Cam Newton, who finally had his first big game of the season, 27 points. But nobody else on his team really did much. I guess he had a big output from the Bills D, which was kind of random. But Chris Johnson did nothing. Aaron Hernandez got hurt. And yeah, a lot of single digits on this page. I know Al expected a lot more from Brady against Arizona, as well as his whole Patriot crew. But bitter taste in the mouth as he loses by a point, drops to 1-1. I see this coming week that he's starting RG3. So I never thought I'd ever see that from Al, that he'd be starting another quarterback. I don't know what that says about his Patriots loyalty, or maybe he's becoming a little more objective in his fantasy analysis. Who knows? But still, strange things happened in the Howards. I will say that much. We had, in our next matchup, we had David and Mason, which was our matchup of the week. I know we all had high expectations for this matchup, and it didn't disappoint. In fact, it ended up coming down to the last night. David looked out of it going into Monday night, but then he got a huge game from Vernon Davis, so he pulled himself back into it. Even still, Mason kind of won this going away. He had pretty respectable performances from his big players. Finally, a good game from Marshawn Lynch, who I know Mason has quite the man crush on. David really was let down by Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler was abysmal in that Thursday night game. I don't know how many of you watched it, but it was yeah, it wasn't pretty. So yeah, despite decent outputs from David's players, you need quarterback play to be successful in fantasy. So I know he's starting Alex Smith this coming week. A lot of quarterback changes this week. A lot of quarterback changes. You can say a lot about the Howards, but one thing you can't say is that our managers aren't afraid to make drastic decisions if they feel like that's what's going to motivate their team to be successful the next week. So Al and David going out on the limb here and abandoning their starting quarterbacks real early in the season. Next matchup was Wayne and Jeremy. This was by far our best game of the week in scoring, and it was close. It was just a good showdown. A lot of high-scoring players in this one. Jeremy ends up winning it 124 to 114. He gets big performances from Hakeem Nicks, C.J. Spiller, Willis McGahee. He rode some big flex performances to victory. Wayne also had good outputs. Finally, a pretty good game from Michael Vick, even against a stingy Ravens defense. A huge game from Victor Cruz. A lot of people benefited from Eli Manning's explosion, which Cody didn't start Eli. I guess he was riding Matt Ryan's hot hand, but even still, you can't feel good to bench 501 passing yards, you know. But anyways, yeah, so like I said, Jeremy defeats Wayne 124 to 114. I already mentioned this, but Walter got the snowman for his pretty ugly performance. 57 points is just not suave at all. Let's look at this week's matchups, week 3. I'm excited for it. It's me and David. I'm never a big fan of playing David, but who is? He always seems to bring out the worst in my teams. And he's got that Jones-Drew AP combination that if that ever gets rolling, it hasn't yet this year, but if that ever gets rolling, that could be quite the formidable 1-2 punch at running back. He is starting Alex Smith against me, though, and I'm not scared. Just going to put it pretty bluntly. So I'm going to take myself by about 10 points this week. I know that the Falcons' D isn't exactly, they're not scrubs, but I think Philip Rivers will have another good game. Or maybe I'm just delusional, who knows. But I beat David, is my prediction. In what should be a huge bounce-back game for Walter, he gets Al this week. Al, like I said, is starting RG3, and I feel like the fantasy gods are gonna either just take a week off because Al's not starting Brady, or either that or they're gonna be utterly infuriated and Al's gonna score like 30 points. So, like I said, never expected to see it where Brady wasn't Al's starting quarterback, but you know. Other than that, he doesn't seem to have a lot going for his team right now. Bradshaw got hurt, so he's starting Jackie Battle, kind of a hodgepodge lineup for Al. And Walter's teams, as they always do, looks pretty good on paper. Michael Bush should have a huge game against the Rams, as much as I hate to say it. So Walter wins convincingly. Our next matchup is Jeremy and Chad. I think Jeremy wins this one, but it's going to be closer than expected. I expect Chad to have a big game from Arian Foster, and he managed to get the black unicorn. I was really angling to get him off of waivers, but because Jared Cook's not doing anything for me right now. But Chad was able to snag Martellus Bennett, who I think actually could be a fantasy find this year. I never thought I'd say that about Bennett, but hey, fantasy's weird. But at the end of the day, Jeremy's lineup is just too good, especially those receivers. I know we always talk about them, but that's quite the 1-2 punch. He's starting Brandon Gibson, my boy. I like that. And I think C.J. Spiller will have another good week. I don't think he's ready to be done with this run that he's on. So I take Jeremy. Then we got our matchup of the week. Last 2 undefeated teams in the league. It's kind of weird that we're this far into the season and only 2 undefeated teams, but it's Mason and Cody. This one, despite it being the matchup of the week, it shouldn't be our highest scoring one. Neither of these lineups look too impressive. I know I'm always giving Mason crap about how his team, just compared to how his teams usually look, this one doesn't inspire fear at all in opponents. But, you know, as we were talking about, it would be very ironic if this was finally the team for Mason that was successful enough to win him a championship, you know, the one that looks the worst on paper. And fantasy is like that, so in the back of my mind, it really wouldn't surprise me at all. But I'm gonna pick Mason to keep going, move to 3-0, be the Howard's last undefeated team. I just think his squad of upstarts will continue to grind and continue to make things work. Maybe not high scoring, but I don't see Cody putting up a lot of points this week. His team looks pretty banged up. Last matchup of this coming weekend, we have Wayne and Brad. Brad, you got to get Aaron Hernandez out of your lineup. I think for that reason alone, I'm going to take Wayne in this game. If you can get a decent tight end in there, I don't know if you have a tight end on your bench. I'm not looking at the bench right now, but I don't think there's any really decent ones on waivers at the moment. But plug someone in there, and it'll make maybe 5 or 6 points difference, and that could be the edge that gets you over Wayne at the end of the day. However, I do think Michael Vick and Ray Rice are just going to be a little too much. I don't see McFadden having a great day, but Rice should be a beast against the Patriots, as he always is. And I like Doug Martin too. I've kind of come around to the guy. He's a typical workhorse running back in Tampa Bay. So, and Victor Cruz will be the only significant wideout for the Giants on Thursday night tonight, incidentally. So he should have a big day as well. I take Wayne in that one. My snowman will be Al. I just think, like I said, the fantasy gods are not going to take kindly to him starting RG3 in place of Tom Brady. That's just, it's different. I know I keep saying it, but it's very different. And change isn't always the best thing. Anyways, that's what I've got going on this week. I'm, as always, looking forward to the weekend, looking forward to sitting on the couch, watching some games. I hope you guys get a chance to do the same. And I hope all's going well with all your endeavors, whatever you guys got going on respectively. I know I'll probably be home sometime, maybe fall break, which is in about a month, and then definitely Thanksgiving. So I look forward to seeing you guys in not too long a time. All right, take care.